Welcome to Virtual Antics, your go-to podcast for digital entrepreneurs, powered by Nadora.org and NG Virtual Assistant. We're here to guide you through every aspect of business, from networking to lead generation and so much more. Get ready to thrive in the virtual world with expert insights and our all-in-one solution, Nadora, where creating a digital business becomes a breeze. Let's dive in and revolutionize your business journey together. Welcome back to the Virtual Antics Podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Guzman. And today I am so excited because we have Chad Hufford on the call. And Chad was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. He grew up in the financial industry and developed a strong background in athletics, nutrition, and performance psychology. He brings a coaching mindset and the heart of a teacher to financial planning and investing as he strives to both empower and educate his audience to not only become better investors, but to live more intentionally and create an abundant life. Welcome, Chad. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Natalie. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited you're here. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I have a financial planning practice, and essentially we make sure people don't run out of money and purpose in retirement. But it's getting people to actually plan for their future and build towards it. A lot of folks are simply out there, they're just collecting investments. You had a guest on recently, I think her name was Kirsten, talking about people just don't know their numbers, and whether that's running a business or running their own individual life. So we help people come up with specific targets that they're working towards financially and how they want their lives to even look, and help them create a pathway and a strategy to get there.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, I think there's actually an episode coming out about two episodes before yours. And so we kind of talked about, how a lot of financial planning, they look at your retirement numbers, and we're coming into kind of this economy that what worked before isn't working now. Are you kind of seeing that, like a big change with the adjustment with the retirement?
I think there's principles and practices that have always worked, but I also think that people look at timelines that are too short. They look at 5, 10, 20-year trends. And just same in business, the things that set people apart in business and in finance and investing, and a lot of other areas in life, are the same things that will probably always work. But it's making sure that the specific tactics that somebody's using lines up with what they're trying to do. And a lot of people, it's not that the tool or the tactic they're using is wrong or bad, but it isn't in line with what they're trying to create. And I think there's a lot of times that misalignment causes frustration, causes people to think, oh, this thing isn't working. Well, it's not working because you're not using it right, or maybe it's not a bad tool, not a bad tactic, but it doesn't fit in with what you specifically trying to accomplish.
That's a really good point, because we all talk about, like, especially in business, goal planning, right? And what are our goals? What are we trying to reach? But I don't think we necessarily plan that with our financial goals, because it all is really cohesive, right? So like what we're trying to do, well, how much is that going to cost? I know in my goal planning, I don't have that. And you just inspired me to mark that down. So that's really interesting. Where do you feel like a lot of entrepreneurs might struggle with financial planning?
Well, a lot of entrepreneurs are so focused on running their business that they oftentimes don't have a great succession strategy. Like, what does life look like when they sell their business, or even having a plan to sell the business? And I get, like, I want to be doing this when I'm 85 years old. I don't want to have to. And that's what we ask people is, what do you want a work optional lifestyle to look like? Not that you would sell your business, not that you would move on, but if you never needed to either collect a paycheck or produce a paycheck ever again, what do you want your life to look like? What would be different? And the folks that we work with, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're cops, firefighters, oil field workers, the folks we work with are typically more driven, more ambitious, more goal focused than the average individual. They're the worst type of people to sit around and do nothing. And your audience is probably the exact same way. But it's not that we they go this traditional view of retirement where we unplug and we just relax and sit back in comfort. That's fine for little snippets. It can't punctuate your life. Your life still has to have meaningful purpose, especially for entrepreneurs. You can't spend your career chasing, going after that next thing, and then kick back and do nothing. However, creating that financial stability so you aren't relying on your business to pay your bills and produce the level of comfort, or at least the lifestyle that you've come to appreciate, the lifestyle that you've come to get used to. We don't want your business to have to do that forever. And a lot of times folks are so focused on that business. That's their baby. Like that's that thing that they birthed and they watch it grow and they've nurtured it. And that's awesome. And that still might be the biggest chunk of your net worth, but it shouldn't be the only thing that sustains you, especially once that business is up and running and going well. Yeah, you want to feed into that business, but you also want to make sure that you've got other things, you've got other pillars to your financial freedom.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know one of the best pieces of advice I read in a book was that it was actually more of like a story, but that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. A lot of that has to do with like our investments. It's not just your businesses. And that made a lot of sense because especially you mentioned the recession. So when we have situations like that where we only have one stream of income and all of a sudden that is taken away, where is our money going to come from? And I think those are really, really important questions that we have to ask ourselves. So I'm currently building my 7 streams of income and I absolutely love it. I'm learning so much. But what are some resources or any type of books maybe that other entrepreneurs can read and learn how to create, that financial freedom type of life?
Well, one of the best books that I've ever read on, I think, creating freedom in your business is by a guy named Mike Michalowicz. And it's called Profit First. And it's the idea that you carve out profit, you carve out something for yourself first, because a lot of businesses end up kind of being enslaved to growth and marketing and all these different things. And those things are great. But if folks aren't careful, your business budget, just like your personal budget, it'll grow to whatever size of enclosure you put it in, just like a goldfish. And without keeping tabs, the business expenses can grow to a point where your business is growing. You're not any more profitable. You're not really building any freedom in that. And a lot of folks don't really own a business. They have a job that owns them. Mm-hmm. Now their name might be on the door, their name might be on the website and all that, but at the end of the day, their business owns them more than they own their business. And if you're consistently carving out profits for yourself first, it forces the business to be more streamlined, and it forces the business to make sure that it's creating what it's supposed to, which is not just a service or product for your clients, but also freedom for you. And that's actually something I'm going to be touching on in a book I'm writing called Forging Financial Freedom. And it'll be coming out. We'll do a pre-release here in November, but it's the mindset behind creating freedom for yourself using investing and finance to produce that. But Natalie, it's the mindsets, the practices that produce a good business, that produce good investors, that produce health, produce good relationships. A lot of them are very similar. So even though this book isn't specific for entrepreneurs, I do think it'll be an encouragement to folks. However, if you're looking for kind of the nuts and bolts, my book is going to be more the mindset, the nuts and bolts. Mike Michalowicz's Profit First is a great way to start. It's looking at making sure you're running your business isn't running you.
I would just like to point out for listeners that in the last 5 episodes, someone has mentioned Profit First, whether it be me or me, which is amazing. We need that because they have to realize they need to read this book, because we've all been, we're all successful entrepreneurs that come on this show. And a lot of us, talk about our experience reading that, how it's changed our life. So if you haven't read it yet, please go and do so, because you will be thanking us. But also, I love that your book is on the mindset. So I used to work in a membership group that was a bunch of millionaires, right? Some were billionaires. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, how can I learn from them, watch what they do, and so I can, eventually become them. So, and I was listening to their stories and I'm watching what they do, and I have all these conversations about what they do in a day. And they spend so much time working on their mindset and their goals more than they do their business. They delegate out, the tasks that is like you said, working in the business and working on the business. They're two different things. So
Absolutely.
so when you're doing those day-to-day tasks, you're not really growing. And so I love that you create this book around the mindset when it comes to financial freedom, because it's something that we definitely need to work on more, but we don't think about necessarily. It takes a lot of experience in talking to the right people to even like learn the techniques and tools on mindset. So what's one of your favorite ways just to get your mindset maybe in the right place when it comes to financial matters?
Well, this is way beyond just financial matters, but I think one of the places to start is just a commitment to doing hard things. It's choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. And when you're a business owner, when you're an entrepreneur, nobody is forcing you to do anything. You don't have a boss making you do that difficult thing. And what can be really damaging to a business, it's going to sound weird, Natalie, but what can be really detrimental to a business is success, because success can bring comfort. Comfort usually brings complacency. And it doesn't mean your business is going to fall apart and fail, but it probably won't become what it could be if you stop doing hard things. And too often I see business owners, colleagues of mine, and even sometimes in myself, I see I'm doing this thing, not because it's the best thing for me to do, it's because it's easy, it's comfortable. And I know that I should be doing this hard thing over here, but I'm justifying in my mind why I'm on this task, because it's actually an avoidance strategy. If I'm really, really crystal clear, it's an avoidance strategy. So I don't do what I have to. Like, I used to start my day making calls, essentially jumping out of the bushes at people saying, hey, you don't know me, or maybe you do know me. Maybe you referred to me, maybe however, but my name is Chad Hufford, and I'm a stranger to you right now. And I'd like to talk to you about you entrusting your family's financial future to me. That's not an easy conversation to have, and it was every day. I would start my day with that, because there was a lot of other things I could do. I could do emails and I could do marketing. I could work on a website and all these different things. But at the end of the day, that piece would be the most beneficial, is putting myself out there, giving people an opportunity to hear my value and what I could produce for them. But it was also the most painful part. And I would always try to start my day with something difficult. And I still do that. It's my business has shifted. I have other folks doing that more now. And thankfully, we're getting a lot more people reaching out to us. We're not having to necessarily jump out of the bushes at folks anymore, but still starting the day with something difficult. And it can, Natalie, it can be as simple as not hitting the snooze button. Like, you hit snooze, you're starting the day with a little defeat. It might seem insignificant, but you're giving in. You're choosing the easy path. You're choosing the easy wrong instead of the hard right. And James Clear says, like, every decision you make is a vote, either for who you want to become or what you want your business to look like, or the opposite. And if we think of it that way, we see like every little decision matters, and it can take us down a path that we don't want to go, or it can establish the path we need to be on. So it's the commitment to hard things. Like I said, it's in finance, it's in business, it's in relationships, it's in health, but reminding yourself that, yeah, I need to be committed to doing hard things every day. Mark Twain, his quote was, eat the frog. So if you start the day eating a frog, then
It's a good book
do something
too.
gross, disgusting. Yeah. Everything else you do in the day won't seem as difficult.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you haven't read Eat That Frog, that's another great one as well. And, as you were talking, I kind of went back thinking about your bio actually, and how it talked about you in health and fitness. I'm like, for me, I know when I first started working on mindset, things that I kind of related to was health and fitness, right? Because we all, or not, maybe not all of us, but majority of the population, we struggle to get a some sort of health goal accomplished, right? So whether that's gaining weight, whether it's losing weight, building muscle, we all had to work on mindset to get there. And so I thought it was really interesting that you're wrote a book about mindset, and then you also have your background in health and fitness and nutrition, because they kind of go really hand in hand. And I feel like some of the best mindset people I've met are in the health and wellness industry as well. And because, they have all these goals that are ever changing, they're always working on them, and they're adjusting and they're changing their mindset. And like you said, they're not giving up. They're, not hitting that snooze button. And so I think that's really interesting that do you feel like your background has made an impact on, mindset?
It's made a huge impact. I studied a lot of performance psychology and working with professional athletes, working with soldiers. I had a job with the military for a while as a contractor, preparing soldiers for deployment. So literally life and death, right? Very high stakes. But what I learned was the importance of managing behavior and managing mindset, because as an investor, you can have all the right tools at your disposal. And just think as a business owner, like there's so much information out there. Some of it's bad, but you can basically get a self-taught MBA from any school you want. There's enough videos, there's enough information out there. You can get all the information you need to run a great business, but it's doing it. It's executing. That's where it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. And so when it comes to investing, it's not just knowing what you need to do, it's being willing to step out and do that. So I've got McDonald's right next to our office. And here in Alaska at 7:30 in the morning, there's a line that wraps around my building coming out of McDonald's. Everybody in that line knows that they're about to start their day with a bad health decision. It's not an educational issue, it's a behavioral issue. So I didn't realize how important that was going to be. I thought, you find somebody a better investment strategy and a good financial plan, that's great. But just like a diet that sits at the bottom of your sock drawer, or a treadmill that has turned into a glorified clothes hanger, the right plan, the right tools that aren't executed don't do anything for you. And this goes back to doing those hard things. A lot of business owners, deep down inside, they might act like they're stuck, but deep down inside, they know what's going to drive the next big change in their business, but it's just doing it. And mindset is so critical. It's really hard to act right if you're not thinking right. Now you can white knuckle it for a while, but having that perseverance, running a business is hard. It's, even if it's successful, the stress might be different. If you go from not, maybe years ago you're worried about, like, how do I make payroll on Tuesday? Maybe you're past that, and that's awesome. But the stress is different. Your business is growing. You have more employees. You have more customers. You have to have that resilient mindset, and simply having the right tools is not enough. And the metaphor I've used a lot is, if we took a large group of people, let's say all your listeners, and we gave them access to the best gym in their city, most people at the end of a year would not be in any better shape than they were at the beginning, because it isn't about the access to the tools. It isn't about having the gym membership. It's about showing up every day. And that's where the mindset piece is so critical. That's why having that background in health and fitness, and actually coaching people, getting them to physically do the hard thing, and figuring out a way, how can I get this individual to sacrifice what they want now for what is most important in the future, and to do that on a regular basis. It still is a huge learning experiment and experience, but it got me to think about finances differently, where it's not just providing the right tools, it's not providing just the right investments, it's actually making people better investors, which are two completely different things. Giving somebody a great paintbrush doesn't make them a great painter. You have to be able to coach them through it. And I think as business owners, I think there's a lot of carryover there too, in really framing the core of how they think about things, their perspective, their mindsets, their attitudes, because those are the things that will make this sustainable. Because business, just like building wealth, it's a marathon, guys. Like, it's not something, I should say gals, because I know a lot of your audience is moms, right? So, and women, but it's about doing those little things consistently. And the people that have success, Natalie, and again, this is in a lot of areas of life, the people that have success aren't people that are doing something vastly different from everybody else, but they do consistently what most people only do occasionally. And without the right mindset, it's really hard to keep that up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So where can we find out more about you and your services? And then that way we can start creating our own financial freedom and changing our mindset to get to these goals.
Well, the best place to get a hold of us is our website. It's veritasalaska.com. If people have questions, they can reach out with ask at veritasalaska.com. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, building up, trying to get more content, more things out on there, just so people can be encouraged, be empowered. And as I mentioned too, in my book, and one of the things that I want to do for your listeners, if they visit forgingfinancialfreedom.com, they can register to be alerted when that book comes out for pre-release. We'll do something for your audience where we'll allow them to buy the Kindle version for, I think it's 99 cents. Amazon doesn't let us give it away, but for $1, they can get the Kindle version of the book.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been so much fun.
Natalie, thanks so much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Of course, anytime. Have a great day, guys.